Hey, before we get started with today's episode, did you know I have a YouTube channel? It's full of easy to follow videos created not only for hairstylists and salon owners, but also everyday hair lovers who want to understand their hair a little better and feel more confident doing it. From how to find the parietal ridge and use texturizing shears, to what to look for when signing a commercial lease, or how to brand and market your salon, I've got something for anyone who loves hair and our industry. And yes, my brand new foundational haircutting series is live now. So whether you're fresh out of beauty school, mentoring a team, or you're just obsessed with great hair, these videos are here to educate and inspire you. So head over to YouTube, look up All About Hair with Denise, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the thumbs up. That way, you'll be notified when the next video is released. Thanks so much again for being part of this community, and always remember, when you know better, you do better. All right, now let's get into today's episode. Have you ever looked at a redhead and thought, is that a level 6? A 7? Maybe even a 5? You're not alone. Redheads are some of the most gorgeous, radiant clients, and some of the most confusing when it comes to figuring out their starting level. But there's a simple trick using just your phone camera that's going to change the game. Welcome to All About Hair, where we talk shop, share stories, and spill the secrets behind great hair and a great career. I'm your host, Denise Keilitz, a former salon owner, educator, and a lifelong hair crusader. Whether you're a new stylist building your book or just someone who loves learning about all things hair, you're in the right place. Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. First off, I have to apologize if you hear background noise because there's a lot of construction going on outside and I needed to record. So I'm just going to go for it. We'll try to clean up the audio after the fact. And I also want to say that this is a series that's going to start down the color theory spectrum of the game, I guess you would say. We covered foundational haircuts, and I just got done videotaping all of the foundational haircuts. If you want information on that, it's over on my YouTube channel. You can go check out the foundational haircut series. One is going to be released every week, I think until the end of August. And then they're going to be on there for forever. So no worries. Just make sure you subscribe and click that thumbs up because that's how you will be notified when the next one drops. And then I'm working behind the scenes on color theory. And so we're going to be going over everything, how to formulate, how to find the natural level, the color wheel, some challenges most people have, especially when they're starting out, timing, how to apply the color without getting it all over the place. There's a lot to color. You know, we both know. But today we are talking about redheads. I think redheads, beautiful, and they're so easy to get wrong. Yes, they either turn orange or they turn to violet, or somebody might say auburn when they really mean copper. And how? What? And then how to even start? Because if their hair is red, this is really tricky to the naked eye because red hair actually reflects differently than blonde or brown hair because it has so many different undertones to it. And so when you take your swatches and you're trying to figure out where you're even starting the natural level of their red hair, it's really hard to figure out. So many stylists go in too light, too dark, or with the wrong undertone, and the results, they don't last. And if you are thinking their natural level's too dark or too light, and you go to formulate, you're not going to get what you expected. If you're getting started with the wrong starting level, you're going to get unpredictable, brassy results. I have seen it so many times. Heck, I've done it myself. Red hair is hard. If you can learn to specialize in red hair clients, oh my goodness, that could be your money-making machine right there, okay? First, let's just talk about that formulating for red hair. It is not a one size fits all. You can't just say, hey, here's my favorite red hair formula and think that you're going to nail the color application. You're not. There's so many underlying pigments. There's so many tones. The skin tone of your guest makes a huge difference. That same formula that gives your brunette clients warmth will just turn too orange on a redhead because they have so much underlying pigment in there. Look, even experienced stylists, they struggle with fading, root glow, and muddy ends. So don't be too hard on yourself. We've all done it, but it's kind of nice to have the information before you get started. And if you have a friend that is struggling with doing reds, or you have a redheaded friend who's struggling getting her hair done correctly, share this podcast episode. Maybe they'll hear some information that might help them get through their struggle. Let's talk about from the very beginning, how to figure out the natural level of your redheaded client. Well, here's the trick. So take a clear photo of your client's hair in natural light. So go outside or near a window, but you got to have natural light because you know and I know that lights in the salon, the overhead lighting, it just throws everything off. Take a picture of their hair and then on your phone, turn it into a black and white. All you have to do is go to your phone's photo editor, turn that picture into a black and white and save it. So once all the warmth is removed, you're left with the true level of depth in their hair. And then you can compare it to the swatch ring or the level chart of the color line that you're using to determine the starting point without any distraction of this warmth. It is a lifesaver. Turn your photo into a black and white, compare it to your level system, your starting level system, whatever color line you're using. You either have a swatch ring or you have a chart, you have something. You know that I use euphoric color and we use just the natural series to determine the level of color. So you just take that and compare it to your picture. Then you can formulate. Here are some pro tips and tricks for coloring red hair. First, you have to know where red lives on the color wheel. True natural red hair usually sits between level 6, 7, and 8. It is really, really unnatural. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you don't typically see a natural redhead darker than a level 6 or lighter than a level 8. As redheads age, or when they begin to gray, their natural vibrancy can dull. And you've probably had guests tell you that. And I have a lot of my guests who are over 40. And that is their concern. It's like, wow, my hair used to be so shiny and pretty and used to get all these compliments and it's just getting a little dull. Well, what can you do? I would just use a demi-permanent color mixed with either a 7 or a 10 volume developer. Turn it into more of like a gloss or a glaze. And this is perfect for restoring the softness and the vibrancy without making the result look artificial. We've all seen those redheads that it just looks, well, cartoonish or wrong. They've used the wrong level, the wrong undertone, or they don't have the softness that natural hair has. Natural hair has dimension to it. It has transparency to it. So you don't want to cover up all of that with one red tone. So what do? Here's some pointers. You want to choose your developer based on the hair porosity and the zone that you're coloring. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. So Zone 1, the roots. The roots often need more lift, especially if you're working on resistant gray or you just need to cover the gray. So I would probably use a 20 volume. This helps to open the cuticle and you'll get vibrant results on the roots. Then we're going to move to zone 2 and 3, the mid shaft and the ends. These areas are usually more porous, especially if they've been previously colored. Drop your developer to a 10 volume or use a deposit only formula. I would probably only use a deposit only formula. This helps to avoid overprocessing and it helps to avoid fading. Overprocessing here leads to muddy, drab ends or the dreaded hot root effect. And we've all, well, if you haven't seen that, what the hot root effect is, it basically looks like your roots are lighter or on fire. They just look a little bit wrong. Okay. And, when I go to make this into a video, I will give some examples of what that hot root effect looks like, but it's not pretty and it's not normal. I would rather have the roots actually one level lower than the midshaft and ends. I think that looks more natural. Say you did a level 6 on the roots. I would do like a level 7 on the ends. And I might even, it depends on their hair, you could even up the developer on their midshafts, because sometimes you just need that little bit of oomph, especially if this is virgin hair. You need a little bit more, vibrancy in those midshafts. It depends on what you're going for, but most of the time you do 20 volume on the roots, 10 volume deposit only on the midshaft and ends. Okay, now let's do some troubleshooting. So say you have hot roots and off-tone ends. Hot roots usually happen when the roots take better than the rest of the hair. We've had this happen. If you haven't had it happen, it'll happen. So how do you correct that? Adjust your formula by anchoring it with a natural warm or gold tone. So what do I mean by that? If you pick a copper color or a color, so say it's a level 6, you want to make sure that there's some kind of gold or some kind of natural warmth in there on top of your reds and your coppers. So you can do this a couple of different ways. You can use color priming or filling, or you can gloss it on the mids and the ends to create balance. If the ends look dull or ashy, it could be because the porosity is rejecting the warmth. So make sure that you're using bond builders. Make sure you're using your sprays that help to even out porosity. Say your ends did come off tone a little bit, or they're muddy, or they just don't look right. And you're just like, oh, that's not what I wanted. But if I put something over it, like a gloss, it's going to appear too dark because of the off tone on the ends. So you might want to go in there with if your color line has a clear boost lift, like Euphoria does, or you could mix a little bit of your lightener, just a smidgen, either with water or with a very, very gentle developer, like 5 or 7, and just gently remove some of that tone off of the ends and then reformulate and then put on a gloss that would better suit whatever it is that you're trying to do. So say we've got somebody going from blonde to red. What do you do? So maybe it's the fall season and everybody wants that warmer, redder hair for the fall. It's beautiful, right? And we love that. You've got to remember that blonde hair lives at levels 8, 9, and 10, correct? But at those levels, it lacks the pigment density to support red hair. Remember what I said, that reds live at 6, 7, and 8. So if you have your color chart in front of you and the underlying pigments in 6, 7, and 8, and then you look at 8, 9, and 10, what is lacking? You're lacking those oranges. You're lacking some red. You're basically the orange. So you have to add some of that back into your formula to create a believable rich red. You with me here? So use a ratio like 2/3 gold or orange, depends on what target you're going for. And then 1/3 of your formula can be your target shade. Okay, that's for lighter tones like 7s and 8s. Or you would reverse that if you're going for a level 6 redhead. So you would do 1/3 of gold because the 6, the underlying pigment, has more depth to it. So you'd use 1/3 gold and 2/3 your target shade. So for pre-lightened hair, like say you've been highlighting them and then they come in and they say they want to be red for the different season, or they just want to be red, period. You have to always fill that hair before depositing red. And why? Because it is going to fade with one shampoo, probably. If you don't put in that gold, that warmth, that color molecule has to hold on to. If you do not fill the hair, or if you do not prime the hair, depending on what you call it, your color is going to fade, or it's going to look really hollow. It's just not going to look right. You need that strength and that depth for redheads to really appear natural and believable. That leads me to this, that reds do need that depth for support. So on levels 3 through 6, and sometimes 7, you can use some red accent tones from your no ammonia formulas. I tend to teach towards Euphoria's color because that's what I use. That's what I love. Euphoria is a little bit different than most color lines. A lot of color lines out there are already pre-blended, pre-mixed in the tube. Euphoria's is, you are a true colorist. You are a true artist because you have to mix everything. If you want more information on that, let me know. I will guide you towards the proper person to talk to. But I absolutely love Euphoria for so many reasons, but one of the reasons that I really love it is because you are a true artist. You're not just picking a tube of color and putting it on somebody's hair. With that in mind, on levels 3 through 6, so if you're going into a darker red, you want to use red accent tones from your No Ammonia series. And to go darker and richer. So sometimes your reds look a little bit shallow or, I don't know, not believable. If you're going to go richer and darker with red, what would that be? You want to think in your blues and purple tones to deepen a red formula. So if you were taking a true red, just pretend like it's like red, and you wanted to deepen it to the naked eye, you would put blue or purple tones to it, and it would take that same red color and make it look richer and darker. Crimson, red violets, scarlet. But if you want to do brighter reds, you want to put in yellow or orange in the formula. And what that does is it just gives you that vibrancy. Think of a sunflower. When you see that yellow, it just really brightens it up. I know sunflowers aren't red. I'm thinking just what would make you think bright yellow? Sunflowers. If you want to brighten up your red, make it a fiery, coppery, add a little bit of yellow or orange in your formula. If you're not using Euphoria, then I would just look for a yellow based that lives in your inventory. Okay, so say you have somebody going from a level 1 or 2 and they want some red in there. Well, okay. It's kind of hard to do this because there's too much eumelanin in the hair at these levels to really make the red pop. So super dark levels just make red tones hard to see. You're going to have to use, if they want to stay at those levels, so say they want a level 2, but they want to see some warmth in their hair, there's some redness, use a higher level of developer and or boosters to lift and support the red tones. So say I was going to keep them at a level 2 or a 3, and I would want to formulate at that level 2 or 3, I would use a higher volume of developer, meaning I would go in with a 30, probably, just to give you a little bit more lift. So when it deposits, you can see some of those undertones. But you do want to avoid over lightening. You only want to lift to just a red-orange base, really. So you're just trying to shift them 1 or 2 tones so you can see that color without lightening them too much. Okay, do you know why reds tend to fade really fast? Red pigments are large, or their molecules are large, and they fade really quickly. So if your client wants their color to last, sometimes what I would do is I would formulate 1 level deeper than the desired result because it has more pigment to it. After about 3 shampoos, it settles into that perfect shade that they're looking for. But if you have somebody that she always says her hair color fades, first I would ask them, what are you using for your shampoo and your conditioner? And are you out in the sun a lot? What kind of products are you using to protect your hair color? Are you laying that cuticle down? There's all kinds of things that you can ask, because if they are getting their hair tinted red and they go home and they use a stripping shampoo, I'm not going to name names, it's not going to last. The color molecule is too big and it's just going to come out of that cuticle because the cuticle is not shut down. That's a good trick, is to go one level darker just to make it last a little bit longer. But because reds fade so fast, a lot of us tend to over deposit because we want to overcorrect it. But what that does is it makes the tone kind of muddy looking. Have you ever had that happen where you go to tone red hair and it's just like, wow, what happened here? So you really do have to create a custom gloss or a demi color to refresh the mids and the ends without adding any extra ammonia or lift. You do not want to lift the mid shafts or the ends. You just want to gloss over it. You just want it to pop a little bit. And sometimes you could do this with just a clear gloss and just a few drops of red concentrate. And that's all you need. Or they do have out there now red shampoos, or what I like is the Euphoria's Color Revive. They have a copper one and they have a red one, and you can combine them. But what the Color Revive is, it's a treatment, and it's actually designed to be used in between the shampoo and the conditioner. And the longer you leave it on, the more vibrancy you get. What I do, I don't have red hair, but I use the one for brown hair because I have one for brown hair too. I just put it in with my conditioner, and yeah, it dilutes it just a little bit. But if you do it like every other shampoo and you do it that way, it's perfect. But if they truly are losing their color pigment, you might want to hit them hard with the treatment and tell them to use it in between their shampoo and their conditioner. Leave it on. You can leave it on, I think, up to like 5 minutes, and it really will give them the vibrancy they've been missing. I'll leave a link in the show notes if you want more information, and that'll link you to Euphoria's website, and you can read a little bit more about that. Don't be afraid to add more warmth to your formula than what you think you need. Okay, reds are completely different than, say, brunettes, because most brunettes, right, they're like, I don't want to see warmth. And they want this ashy color. And so in our minds, we keep adding ash, ash, ash. But with redheads, you have to add warmth, but you have to control it. Red hair needs the warmth, but it just needs to be controlled. So what does that mean? It means that copper, auburn, and strawberry blondes each reflect the light differently. So mix warm and neutral tones to create believable dimensional reds. So at each level, you're going to have to up the orange, you're going to have to up the gold, or if you want to drop it, you're going to have to up the violet, right? Like what we were talking about. You always want to use bond builders with red hair color. Almost every line out there now has a bond builder. But if you're working on previously colored red hair, oh my gosh, does this help to preserve the tone? It really, truly does. Science is a wonderful thing, don't you think, when it came to creating these bond builders? Wow, I don't even know how we do it without them. I mean, it's almost impossible to overprocess somebody's hair with the bond builders. Don't hold me to that, please. Don't say, Denise told me that I would never ruin anybody's hair because I use bond builders. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it does make it very difficult because the bond builders really do go in there and help to reconstruct the damage that's being done by breaking the bonds down to put the color in there in the first place. Maybe I need to do a whole thing on bond builders and how they work. And do not forget, you have to educate your client. They have to be using a sulfate-free, color-safe shampoo. This is a non-negotiable for reds. It is. If they're going to take their hard-earned cash and get you to color their hair red, not get you, but ask you, they have to be protecting it. What's the point? Because reds fade faster than any other color out there. And you have to tell them that. Don't just go in there going, okay, I'll turn you red, without letting them know what to expect. Because they will come back in 3 shampoos and go, my red's no longer in my hair. And they're going to blame it on you. Not themselves, not by using cheap shampoo. They're going to blame it on you because you didn't educate them on what to use in their hair. Just saying, you have to educate your client. You should be doing this every single client who sits down in your chair, not just the redheads, but that's a different conversation. Okay. Now, with this new way of analyzing depth and figuring out the natural level of the redheads, you're going to start nailing your starting level with confidence. You're going to take those black and white pictures. You're going to compare them to your natural levels. You're also going to avoid the dreaded root glow or the dull ends, right? I told you how to do that. You're going to give your redhead clients long-lasting, radiant, believable color by using glosses and really amping up the warmth in their hair. And you're going to show up behind the chair as the expert you are with confidence. You're going to love this. So we're going to take some questions at the end here that people have asked me online. But if redheads have ever thrown you for a loop, please just try the black and white photo trick at your next appointment and pair it with these color tips that we just went over. And you can always go grab my redhead color cheat sheet. I'll leave the link in the show notes. All you have to do is print it off. All these cheat sheets, you guys are going to create a notebook whatever. I'm laughing at myself because I have cheat sheets for everything. I just want to give all this information away. I just want you guys to know everything. I want you to be successful behind the chair. I want you to get out there and make a lot of money and feel confident and all that good stuff. So if you have somebody else who's starting out in their beauty career, share this. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, go over and check out my YouTube channel, all about hair with Denise, for more tutorials. So let's take some listener Q&As. Somebody asked me, what's your go-to formula for gray coverage on redheads? It's going to be different for every redhead, but you do want to start with a thorough consultation to determine the percentage of gray, if they have any. And for 50% or more gray, you have to anchor your formula with a mix of natural warm, or gold tones to replace any melanin and create believable vibrancy. Because if not, it's going to get too dull. And you have to use your color brand's guidelines. Remember, on redheads, vibrant fashion reds without an anchor can go pink or hollow over gray. Definitely. Make sure that you're taking your black and white picture to see where you're starting out. And I was going to say one more thing on that. Consultation. Make sure you know what your client is looking for. Lots and lots of pictures. Make a Pinterest page that has tons of different pictures for redheads, because there are violet redheads, there's golden redheads, there's auburns, there's coppers, there's penny copper, there's, what was that one? Cowboy copper that was going around. You got to know, because everybody's going to call it differently. So you have to go by pictures. And then when they show you a picture, you want to say, what do you like about this picture? Because everybody sees color differently. So maybe you're seeing a copper and in your eyes, you're seeing orange, but in their eyes, they're seeing gold. You're like, what the heck? Okay, you have to ask the questions. If they just sit down in your chair and they say, hey, I want my hair to be auburn, you got to know what auburn means to them and their eyeballs, okay? So make sure you're starting with lots of pictures. And here's another tip when you're formulating for gray coverage on redheads. Drop the level slightly to just get a denser pigment and better coverage. That might save you more than anything else. Just drop it half a shade. And I bet you'll get better coverage, okay? And you're definitely not going to get hot roots that way. Okay, here's another question. How can I tone down overly orange or brassy red? Brassy reds often happen when there's not enough depth or the underlying pigment wasn't supported properly. This means that you've either lightened them too light and then you didn't put on the right tone level of color, or there's just not enough depth. So when you're at a level 6, or maybe you're taking deeper than that, a 5, you need to put in a little bit of blue or violet pigment to make it believable. You cannot go in and, well, you just can't do that. I'm like, you can't put a level 7 on a 4 and think that, no, you have to put a little bit of violet in there. You can gloss with a cool red or a red violet demi-permanent, and that will help take out some of that orange or that brassiness. But you want to avoid over lightening it, because if you lift it too far, the warmth goes wild. So you don't need to cancel the warmth completely. You just need to redirect it to the right tone family. And again, you got to pull out your color guide. Let me know if you need a color guide. I will email you a color guide. Here's a question. Now, this wasn't really somebody who asked me. I asked it of myself, and then I had to dig up the answer. Can I use the black and white trick on clients with red extensions or toppers? And actually, you can't reliably do this because the black and white photo trick, it works best on natural hair or hair that's consistently colored. Extensions and toppers are often made from, and they're processed differently, and they're different types of hair. Sometimes they're not even real hair. So the reflectivity might not match what we're used to. So in this case, you might use a level swatch comparison in natural light for more accuracy. I know, it kind of sucks, but most of the time we're dealing with natural hair. The question is, what gloss do you recommend for keeping red vibrant between appointments? And you can use a custom demi-permanent gloss with a small amount of the client's original red tone. Like in Euphoria, we have a clear gloss in the no ammonia. And so you could do that and then just put just a little bit of their original red tone that you've made them at their appointment. Or you can mix a clear gloss with just a few drops of the red accent tone or intensifier. And most lines have something like that. Or like I said before, my favorite is the Color Revive treatment. Yes, there's a link. You can get more information from following that link. But the Revive treatment, it really is a lot of pigment. And talk about if their hair is fading, it actually helps to repair the hair as well. So it's not just like a shampoo or conditioner that you just put in there. You know, like on my Amazon storefront, I do have some colored shampoos and conditioners, and those are great, but that's not a treatment. So if your hair is a little bit porous, I would probably say get a treatment. And always recommend sulfate-free shampoo. You want to make sure they're limiting their heat styling and that they're using UV protection to extend their tone's longevity. How do you handle banding from old red color? Well, first, you got to assess the porosity. Banding happens when the mids and the ends are more porous and absorb the pigment unevenly. So here's what you do. Gently lift off the old tone with whatever you have in your arsenal. I have Clear Boost, which is wonderful. It just kind of raises it up about a half a level. Or you can mix up some of your lightener. Then you need to reprime the hair if needed or fill it. And then you apply fresh, balanced red with the correct undertone of what you were wanting. Then I always finish off Redheads with a gloss just to even everything out. And it just makes everything super shiny. Just avoid applying more color on top. You don't want to just go in there and like, well, I'm going to fix this band by just putting more color on. No, it's just going to make the banding worse and you're not going to get what you're after. You have to kind of take off what was on there to rebalance it out. I know I've already answered this one, but should I pre-fill when going from blonde back to red? Yes. Always fill. Always fill. If you're taking anybody, not just redheads, but if you're taking anybody more than 2 levels darker than what they are right now, just fill the hair. Don't second guess this because you have to fill the hair with the pigment that it doesn't have in order for the color to last. So blonde levels from levels 8, 9, and 10, they don't have enough gold or copper to support red pigment. So if you don't fill, the red will go hollow, it'll turn pink, or it's going to fade out way too fast. So here's some tips. For lighter reds, do 2/3 gold and 1/3 your target shade. For deeper reds, do 1/3 gold and 2/3 your target shade. Or just pre-fill it with gold-based demi and then apply your final red tone. That's what I would suggest every time because it lasts longer, but sometimes we don't have time to do that. So you can add it to your formula and pray to the hair gods, and hopefully that helps you. Final question. Is copper or auburn better for clients with cool skin tones? I love this question so much because skin tones, if you're not taking that in consideration with coloring someone's hair, you might be missing out. You have to look at the skin tone in every formulation, not just Redheads, but every formulation, because that's what It's going to depend on how you're going to tone their hair. Okay, so for cool skin tones, and do you know how to find the skin tone? When you look at somebody, some people say look at their wrists, and if they have blue veins, they're cool skin, and if they have green veins, they're warm. I don't know about that, but look at their face, and if they look better in silver jewelry, that's usually skin tones. If they look better in gold jewelry, it's, warm. There's so many different ways to do this. For cool skin tones, auburn usually works better because it has more depth and neutrality, and it has kind of violet undertones. Copper, which is brighter and more orange, it can clash or look too harsh with cool skin tones. So if your client loves warmth but has a cool skin, try a soft copper brown or neutral copper. Not too yellow, not too orange. And here's a quick tip. You'll want to match the red tone to both not only the skin tone, but their personality. Some cooler toned clients love fiery reds. You just have to balance it carefully. You have to ask them that, what is their personality like? What's their career? What do they want to see? Because you might want to break the rules in some cases. That's up to you. Remember, you can download a red hair color guide just by following the links in my show notes. Don't forget to follow this for more information. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll be one of the first to see when our color theory series comes out. Right now, you can just take advantage of our foundational haircuts and all the other episodes we have all over there, but always just go over and subscribe. Do me that favor. I love it. Love building this community. And always remember, when you know better, you do better. And I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in to All About Hair. If you loved this episode, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a fellow stylist or hair-loving friend. You want more tips, tools, and behind-the-scenes goodness? Follow me on YouTube or head to my website at denisekailitz.com. Yes, I know it's hard to spell, so don't worry, the link is in the show notes. Until next time, keep learning, keep creating, and keep loving what you do. Hey guys, real talk for a second. If you're a stylist or a salon owner dreaming of a smoother, more profitable 2025 without working yourself into the ground, I've got something you're going to love. I've been testing out Gloss Genius, and let me tell you, it's a total game changer. Imagine your entire booking system, payments, client notes, and rebooking all in one place. Easy to use, beautiful to look at, and designed with salon pros in mind. Here's what really sold me. Gloss Genius is offering a free data transfer right now. That means they move over your whole book of business for you. Services, clients, everything. And you don't have to do a thing. Plus, check this out. You get a super low processing rate, just 2.6%, no hidden fees. Clients can book in 30 seconds, no apps, no logins, just simple. And they've got smart tools to help you grow, like auto reviews, reminders, and even marketing powered by AI. If you're ready to grow your business and your peace of mind this year, do yourself a favor and give Gloss Genius a try. Sign up with my link in my show notes and get started for free. You deserve tools that work as hard as you do.